Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. We have an update. Nate Mitchell says no to the role on The Bachelor. Reality Steve breaks this story today. We're going to discuss that, but he says no after the Vibe podcast, Bachelor alum. We're rooting him on. And other podcasts, Bachelor alum Ben Higgins, they claim that his apology on the mental health was fraudulent. So conflicting opinions, but either way, it doesn't matter. He's not going to be the next Bachelor. Who is? Stick around. We don't know who it is, but we know it's not him. I'm going to play the Reality Steve clip, so stick around for that. We're going to work our way over there. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I have a stand-up show this Saturday in Hollywood. If you want to come, I have a discount code. The name Dave is the discount code. Link below, and also, of course, in the same link commented in the pinned comment section below, I've got today's teacher of the day, teaching preschool K through 3 music. So music teachers, buy a xylophone and all the other things that they've got in their teacher's wish list. Go straight to our teachers. Appreciate you so much. Let's see what the Vibe has to say about wanting Nate to be the Bachelor.
I'm saying I am also team Nate when it comes down to what I've seen on screen. So everybody, before you come at me, it's all about what I've seen on screen and what you've seen on screen. What you seen on screen was not negative. So
by the way, I like that they're like, look, the real life stuff I don't want to comment on, but on the screen he was good. I would agree with him in this framing. Yeah, Nate looked great on the screen. All right, I agree with him. If we're just going to count out everyone else.
So I like it, and I hope he learned from what happened in his past.
So do I.
And he can take the good out of that to bring it to whatever the next is for him.
Exactly, yeah. I'm going to keep saying it again. Out of this season, he is by far... and by far and away the best option for The Bachelor.
This is like when we get Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump running for president. We're like, 330 million people. These are the best candidates we have. We got both sides of the same crime family here. 330. We can't get better. And that's how I feel about The Bachelor. Like, how many single people are out there? And we don't have people that aren't two-time and others, and this, that, and the other. So anyway, they say, hey, don't judge him by his past, which, of course, there's different ways to look at all of this. Dr. Diane Strakowski says, I think we have to separate out who we like versus who women would want as a fiancé. I agree that Nate we saw on screen was great, but you get the real-life Nate. I wish the men and women who are the potential cast could vote. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And of course, the response from some folks here, BachelorNation.scoop posted, interesting. Often past contestants will say there is way more to people on The Bachelor than what we see on screen, but now that it's not so good stuff off screen, they're saying, oh, well, only focus on what you see on TV. My thought is this. I think Nate's probably a good guy. I think he's probably learned from the collateral damage he caused through dealing with his divorce and all the other things. Maybe he should look into love bombing. I'm sure he's not doing it to be an evil person, but people, we have the human condition has a lot of manipulation tricks that we do consciously, but mainly subconsciously to survive in this world. A world that can be friendly, but can be very tough, especially when you're going through heartbreak and things like that. So I've got more compassion and grace than anybody out there for Nate. I just don't think it would be a great idea for him to have him be the Bachelor this soon after having all those issues. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm all about him talking and being a better version of himself today than he was yesterday. Here's what Ben Higgins and his co-host have to say about Nate.
I was watching them set Nate up to be the Bachelor. Like they were trying to
Ashley
reconcile and not spin this, but like bring it out enough where the public would say Nate should be the Bachelor. I felt like that's what I was watching. I don't think they were successful in that. Today, I think we see that they definitely were successful in that, based on this headline that I'll read here in just a second. But Ashley, what did you think when you watched his interview?
I thought it was phony.
Wow, she goes, I thought it was phony. There it is.
Okay, fair. And I get that. And
because they know, just like we all know, that the show is going to manipulate. They're going to do their best to promote who they think they want it to be. Of course, that would be, as I'm going to share Reality Steve's clip in a second, they wanted Nate. They asked Nate. He still said no, which is good. I don't know. Maybe take the money. He probably could have used the opportunity to get a little good PR for himself. But at the same time, it would also expose him to a bigger audience of people that are going to find out all of the damning receipts. Now, Our good friend Getting Cozy with Aaron posted this, which was a screen grab of what Reality Steve had said. I'll read that. I'm not telling Dustin what to do with his podcast, and I'm certainly not going to tell any of you what you should or shouldn't listen to. But if you want to hear victim blaming, women shaming, and misogyny at its finest, go listen to Bachelors in the City pod today. Holy shit. Then Getting Cozy with Aaron says, just came across this and I'm actually speechless. Did Reality Steve feel threatened by their podcast? The irony, I'm sorry, but I listened to the full Nate episode and feel this was blown way out of proportion. If you ask me, Reality Steve didn't like the way they were talking about him during the show and did what he needed to do. And for whatever, shut them down to not even let them record a goodbye episode for their loyal listeners. I don't think Reality Steve had their podcast shut down. But yeah, there's totally a conspiracy out there that the podcast, Bachelors in the City, which is Dustin and Pilot Pete, they came to Nate's defense. But look, I mean, let's be honest. Saying that Kelsey was a party girl, that is shaming her, isn't it? When Nate met her under the same conditions, Nate doesn't go, I'm a party boy. He says she's a party girl. You know what I mean? So I think Dustin's viewpoint on this in defending his friend created collateral damage, because you can defend your friend to an extent, but it doesn't mean Kelsey doesn't have a point. Kelsey had vacation receipts, a year and a half of going out to each other, weddings with friends, and they knew each other's family. Come on, guys, right? So anyway, I responded to this and was like, regardless of the messenger, I think leaving the podcast and not telling your fans is a pretty low blow. Of course, we're talking about Bachelors in the City podcast, who apparently just disappeared. I was like, it's a low blow that they didn't even comment that they were leaving or anything. And then I got from Aaron says, I stand by believing they aren't able to for some reason. So I'm going to read into this as her telling me they were kicked off of their podcast. And, excuse me. Now, wouldn't it be convenient for Dustin or Pete to tell Aaron, hey, we can't talk about it, we're kicked off, when in fact they just don't want to respond? Either one could be true. Like I said, my DMs are open if anyone wants to let me know the true story. Here's what and like, again, you can hate Reality Steve all you want, but like, he isn't wrong by saying Dustin was like saying some pretty misogynistic stuff. I mean, hundreds of people left negative reviews. It wasn't just Reality Steve with some vendetta. You have a lot of people that were really upset with that podcast in the way they dismissed Kelsey.
I'm assuming it's going to be made on the After the Final Rose, if not within a day or two of that on GMA, like they usually do. But after poking around a little bit, asking around, what I can tell you is I don't know who the Bachelor is going to be, but you can cross Nate off the list. I have heard it is not him. Now, you'd be like, well, why isn't it him? I thought he was, they were gunning for him or whatever. I usually can't get any details to stuff like that. I have heard, I have no idea if it's true or not, but I've heard he rejected it. He doesn't want to do it. Now, could that be Nate just trying to save face and just say like, oh yeah, they wanted me, but I don't want to do it? Did they even offer it to him where they were just like, yes, we want you, and he really did say no? Or did they never even offer it and he's trying to save face by just saying I didn't do it? I have no idea what the answer to that question is. But you can eliminate him from the list. I've been told he's not going to be the Bachelor. So that leaves open any possible guys from this season, maybe like a Zach or... Maybe like a Zach. It's the only guy from the season I can even think that they would even consider.
Rodney.
Considering who's left at the end of the season and who got far and whatnot. So, obviously they could pull somebody from a previous season or they could go somebody new. Like I said, I have not heard anything in regards to who it could be. But I do know now that it's not Nate. And I have no idea. Don't ask if it's the story that I posted. If that had anything to do with it, I have no idea. I'm not going to take credit for it because I have no idea. So you can just cross him off the list. I've heard he's not doing it. And whether it was offered and he rejected or he's just telling people he rejected it, I don't know. But looks like we're not going to have Nate on our TVs come next Bachelor season.
Well, there you have it, folks. And that's the update. Of course, Reality Steve's doing daily podcast interview with F-Boy Island's Benedict Paulisi. I mean, I always say fascinating stuff. It's kind of like a filler term. Oh, fascinating stuff, but it's usually not. But there are so many dynamics to this story. Now, look, like the Vibe Pod, I don't think the Vibe Pod just did a better job of defending Nate here than Dustins Podcast. Dustin called Kelsey the party girl. He said he said all these different things that were just very dismissive. He didn't have to do that. I know it was his friend, but it's like, this is why you have crisis PR. This is why you have people help you through it, because you basically took an audience that's 92% women, and you said Kelsey's story doesn't matter. All the receipts, and people go, you want to believe women? Well, when they provide, but there's no proof. She literally provided all these receipts. Reality Steve was as hands-off as possible. He was like, I'm going to let her story tell itself. He literally could have just dumped it all in a Google Drive. That's all it was, right? And then after that, he goes, no, that's not the Nate I know. Well, like, newsflash, we all have friends that we think are good people, and then we find out they did something atrocious. We find out that I never want to know. Like, if I find out a friend of mine doesn't tip well, it's just simple things like that. But like, you can be a good friend and compartmentalize your friendship, but then also be lacking greatly in the romance department. So Dustin says he doesn't know him. Dustin's podcast is gone now. It's done. My DMs are open if anyone wants to explain to me why. My guess, it's not the podcast network. It is the Bachelor producers that said, and even if they don't have a contract and whatever, like where they can't like send a cease and desist, Bachelor producers might said, look, please shut your podcast down. You put your foot in your mouth. You ruined Nate's chances. You made it worse for him. We have a plan here to deal with this. I don't know what else could have happened. The other thought is that it's all bullshit, and they just were like, you know what? We're done with this podcast. We're done with it. They threw the towel in. They didn't say anything to their fans. They just don't want to make a statement on it, so they're just going to like let time pass. I don't know which it is. Either way, it's a fascinating story. Follow me on Instagram at Neal. Stand-up show this Saturday, 8 p.m. In Hollywood, California. I'd love to see you there headlining. Patreon.com/Dave Neal for private behind-the-scenes content. I'm live right now on the Patreon. You can go check me out over there. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys. All right, now just for the Patreon, I'm going to tell you about the private message that I received from a bachelor contestant's parent. Let's get into that right now.